Picture this. Tonight, you're standing in front of a mirror. The world is silent. No noise, no distractions. Just you, your breath, and the eyes staring back at you. Pause and ask yourself, have I truly lived, or have I just been existing? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." Let that sink in, because if you're honest with yourself, that question won't just touch you. It will haunt you. Most of us walk through life as if tomorrow is guaranteed. We postpone, we blame, we wait. But the Stoics knew something we often forget. Tomorrow is never promised. Your life can change in a single night, a single decision. And here's the truth. If you embrace these 9 Stoic principles, tonight could be the night you'll never forget. The night you stop living on autopilot. The night you take back control. The night you begin again. So stay with me until the end, because each principle has the power to shift your entire existence. And if this message resonates with you already, join our community here at The Stoic Habit by subscribing. Together, let's walk the path of wisdom, discipline, and unshakable strength. Now, let's begin with the first principle. Principle number 1. Control begins when you stop blaming. Be honest with yourself. How many times have you whispered these words? If only my parents had supported me, my life would be different. If it weren't for my boss, I'd already be successful. If the world were fair, I would finally be happy. Pause here. Do those thoughts sound familiar? Every single time you blame someone else, you hand over your power. You place the steering wheel of your life in someone else's hands. You become a puppet pulled by the strings of circumstance. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said it clearly. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them. Events don't crush you. Your interpretation does. And here lies the choice. When you blame, you choose to be a victim. When you take responsibility, you choose to be a warrior. Let me give you a picture. 2 people lose their jobs on the same day. One curses the economy, the boss, the system. The other sits down, breathes deeply, and asks, "What can I do now?" Fast forward 1 year. The first is still stuck, replaying excuses. The second has built a new path, stronger than before. The difference is not in fate. It's in the response. Here's the harsh truth. Blame feels comforting at first. It removes responsibility from your shoulders. It lets you say, "It's not my fault." But that comfort is a trap, because while you're pointing fingers, life keeps moving forward without you. True control begins the moment you stop saying, "if only," and start saying, "what now?" That is the bridge between victimhood and mastery, between drifting and steering. So tonight, ask yourself, who are you still blaming? And how has that blame been quietly weakening you? Write it down, cross it out, and replace it with this declaration. I am responsible for my growth. I am responsible for my peace. I am responsible for my future. Say it slowly. Feel the weight of it. Because in that single decision, you reclaim your life. And you will never see yourself the same way again. Principle number 2. Peace comes from endurance, not escape. Look around you. We live in the first civilization designed for escape. Feeling lonely? Open Netflix. Anxious? Scroll endlessly on social media. Heartbroken? Drink, shop, or swipe right until you're numb. But let me ask you, after all the running, after all the distractions, are you more peaceful now than you were a year ago? Pause and really think about it. The truth is brutal. Every time you choose escape over endurance, you don't solve the problem, you feed it. You don't heal the wound, you let it fester. You don't grow stronger, you grow weaker. Seneca once wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Diamonds form under pressure. Steel is forged in fire. And the human spirit? It is revealed in struggle. Let me paint a picture. Two people experience the same heartbreak. The first runs into distraction, into noise, into temporary relief. The second sits with the pain. They breathe through it. They ask, "What is this teaching me? What strength am I discovering?" 1 year later, the first is still running. The second has transformed. Peace came not from avoidance, but from endurance. This is the paradox our culture hides from us. Peace is not found in escaping difficulty. Peace is forged in the fire of facing it. And listen carefully. Endurance does not mean being a doormat. It doesn't mean tolerating abuse or surrendering to unfairness. Endurance means standing tall in the storm and saying, "Yes, this is heavy, but I am stronger than I thought. Yes, this is painful, but I will not bow down to it. Yes, this is difficult. But difficulty is where I discover who I really am. That is when true peace enters. Not because the storm is gone, but because you are no longer afraid of the rain. So tonight, when your mind whispers, escape, pause, breathe, and whisper back, "I will not run. I will endure. I will find peace not by avoiding the storm, but by walking through it with my head held high." Say it out loud, because endurance is not punishment. Endurance is preparation for the stronger, freer, unshakable version of you that is waiting on the other side. Principle number 3. Discomfort is a signal, not a stop sign. Discomfort, that tight chest, that knot in your stomach, that voice in your head whispering, "Turn back. This isn't for you." Most people hear that voice and retreat. They assume discomfort means danger. They think fear is a warning sign. But the Stoics understood something deeper. Discomfort is not a red light. It's a signal pointing you directly toward growth. Think back to every breakthrough moment in your life. Your first day at a new job. The moment you finally spoke your truth. The risk you took to move forward. Every one of those moments felt uncomfortable. Epictetus said, "Difficulties show a person what they are." In other words, discomfort is a mirror. It reflects your current limits. It reveals your hidden fears. It exposes your untapped strength. And here's the beautiful part. Only when you see your limits clearly can you begin to push beyond them. You cannot grow without resistance. Just as muscles are built by strain and pressure, your character is forged in discomfort. Let me give you an example. At the gym, the burn you feel isn't a warning to stop. It's proof your muscles are growing. In life, that same burn, the nervousness before a hard conversation, the fear before chasing your dream, that's not damage. That's transformation happening in real time. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The obstacle is not blocking your path, it is the path. So here's the challenge. Stop treating discomfort as an enemy. Start treating it as your compass. When you feel fear about starting the business, that's the direction. When you feel anxious about setting boundaries, that's the work. When you feel resistance toward discipline, that's the training ground. Tonight, whisper this to yourself. This discomfort is not a stop sign. It is a signal that I'm exactly where I need to be. Say it slowly. Breathe it in. Because the life you want is waiting just on the other side of discomfort. Principle number 4. Silence is strength. In a world addicted to noise, silence has become rare and powerful. Right now, millions of people are arguing online, typing furious comments, desperate to have the last word. They think volume equals power. They believe the loudest voice wins. But true strength is not measured by how loudly you speak. It's measured by the discipline to stay silent when silence speaks louder than words ever could. Epictetus reminded us, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." But silence is more than listening. Silence is strategy. It's choosing not to waste your energy on meaningless battles. It's walking away from the trap of provocation. It's refusing to let someone else dictate your emotional state. Think about this. When was the last time you held back instead of lashing out? That was strength. When was the last time you walked away from a toxic argument? That was wisdom. When was the last time you stayed calm when everyone else lost control? That was mastery. Most people don't understand this. Those who always need the last word aren't strong, they're insecure. Those who constantly defend themselves aren't in control, they're terrified of being misunderstood. But the one who stays composed, the one who lets silence carry the truth, commands respect without demanding it. Marcus Aurelius put it beautifully: be silent as one who has the power to speak, but refrains. That is self-mastery. You could argue, you could fight, you could explain, but you choose not to. Not from weakness, but from absolute control. And here's the secret: silence protects your peace. Words, once spoken, can't be taken back. They can wound deeper than a blade. They can ignite fires that never needed to burn. But silence shields you. It saves your energy for the battles that truly matter. So tonight, when you feel the urge to argue, pause. When you want to prove yourself, breathe. When you crave the last word, remember. Silence is not surrender, it's strength. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. Whisper this declaration as you type it, as you feel it. My silence is my strength. Principle number 5, discipline over motivation. Everyone wants motivation. They chase it like a drug. Another video, another quote, another spark of inspiration. And yes, motivation feels amazing. It can light a fire in your chest. It can make you feel unstoppable for a moment. But here's the truth the Stoics knew well. Motivation is fleeting. Discipline is forever. Think about it. How many times have you felt motivated, only to lose steam after a few days? Maybe you watched an inspiring speech. You felt unstoppable until Monday came, and suddenly the energy was gone. Because motivation is like a sugar rush, a quick spike, followed by an inevitable crash. If your dreams rely on motivation, you're building them on sand. Discipline, on the other hand, is rock solid. It doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't wait for the perfect moment. Discipline shows up day after day, no excuses. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I must go to work as a human being." Not because he felt motivated, but because life demanded effort. This is the Stoic way. You act not because you want to, but because you must. You persist, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Here's the paradox. Once you choose discipline, motivation eventually follows. You show up when you don't feel like it. You make progress. Progress creates confidence. Confidence fuels motivation. But it begins with discipline, never the other way around. Let me give you an example. The athlete doesn't train only on the days he feels inspired. The writer doesn't write only when the muse appears. They build systems. They create routines. They commit. And in that commitment, something beautiful happens. Freedom. Because discipline frees you from the endless negotiation with yourself. No more asking, do I feel like it today? The decision is already made. So tonight, make that decision. Whisper this declaration to yourself. Discipline is my freedom. Because motivation may start the fire, but only discipline will keep it burning until your dreams become reality. Principle number 6. Detachment is the highest form of self-respect. Most people think self-respect comes from achievement, from recognition, from being validated by others, from the car they drive, the title on their business card, or the number of followers they have. But the Stoics taught us something revolutionary. The highest form of self-respect is not about gaining more. It's about needing less. Detachment is freedom. It is the ability to say, I am whole, even if I lose this job. I am complete, even if this relationship ends. I am enough, even without applause. Epictetus said it clearly. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. When you cling to things, to people, to outcomes, you become their prisoner. You tie your peace to what you cannot control. And every time life takes one of those things away, your spirit breaks. But when you practice detachment, you reclaim your power. You stop being enslaved by possessions that can break, by relationships that drain your energy, by opinions that were never yours to carry. Let me give you a picture. Two people face the same heartbreak. One clings desperately, begging for what's gone, losing themselves in the process. The other allows the loss, breathes through the pain, and whispers, "This does not define me. I remain whole." Which one is truly free? Detachment does not mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you become cold or indifferent. It means you love without clinging. You give without losing yourself. You show up fully while staying free inside. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Everything is temporary. Your possessions, your status, even your closest relationships. So why attach your worth to what can vanish in a moment? Tonight, ask yourself, what have I been clinging to that no longer serves me? A toxic relationship? A draining job? The approval of people who don't even respect themselves? Write it down, and then whisper this declaration. Detachment is my self-respect. My peace is not for sale. My worth is not up for negotiation. I am free. That is the moment you stop being owned by the world and begin to own yourself. Principle number 7. Your mind is a garden. Protect what you plant. Right now, inside your head, a garden is growing. Every thought, every idea, every word you consume. It's a seed. Some seeds grow into resilience, wisdom, and courage. Others sprout into fear, envy, and weakness. And here's the reality most people never face. You are the gardener. You decide what takes root. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your mind is filled with negativity, comparison, and fear, your life will reflect that. But if you deliberately plant gratitude, discipline, and peace, your life will flourish, no matter the storm outside. Think about what you've fed your mind this week. The shows you binge, seeds. The conversations you entertain, seeds. The posts you scroll through endlessly, seeds. The people you surround yourself with, their energy, their attitude, those are seeds too. If you let toxic voices plant weeds in your mind, don't be surprised when your inner world feels overgrown with chaos. But if you protect your mental soil, if you plant wisely, you'll create a sanctuary inside yourself that no storm can destroy. Here's the part most people miss. It's not just about planting good seeds. It's about pulling out the weeds. Bitterness, envy, self-doubt. If you don't remove them, they will choke the life out of everything good you're trying to grow. And, yes, tending a garden takes work. You don't plant a seed of courage today and wake up fearless tomorrow. Growth is slow, but every day you water the right thoughts. Every day you choose better inputs. You are reshaping your inner world. Picture two people. One consumes gossip, negativity, outrage day after day. The other feeds their mind with wisdom, uplifting voices, disciplined habits. Fast forward a year. One is restless and bitter. The other is grounded and unshakable. The difference? The seeds they planted. So tonight, pause and ask yourself, what am I allowing to grow inside me? Then whisper this declaration. I protect my mind. I plant strength. I am the gardener of my soul. because your future will always bloom from the garden you tend today. Principle number 8. You can't heal in the same environment that broke you. Here's a hard truth most people don't want to face. You cannot heal in the same environment that hurt you. Time alone doesn't heal. You could wait 5 years, 10 years, even a lifetime. But if you stay in the same toxic soil, the wound will keep reopening. Think about a seed. If you plant it in poisoned ground, no matter how much water or sunlight it gets, it will never grow into what it was meant to be. The same is true for you. Epictetus warned, "Keep company only with those who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best," because your environment is either healing you or breaking you further. There is no neutral ground. Let me give you a picture. Someone leaves a toxic relationship but stays surrounded by the same friends who remind them of the past. Someone wants to recover from addiction, yet spends every night in the same places that fed the addiction. Someone longs for peace, but fills their home with clutter, chaos, and constant noise. How can healing ever happen there? Healing requires courage. Sometimes it means walking away from people you still love. Sometimes it means creating boundaries that others won't understand. Sometimes it means redesigning your space, your routines, even your daily habits. And remember, changing your environment doesn't always mean moving cities or starting over from zero. It can be as simple as unfollowing toxic voices online. It can be as powerful as creating a room that feels like a sanctuary. It can be choosing different people to share your time with. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind." If your surroundings constantly fill your mind with pain, with chaos, with noise, your spirit will stay trapped. But when you choose an environment of peace, order, and discipline, your healing begins. So tonight, take inventory. Look at your relationships, your home, your habits, your inputs. Ask yourself honestly, am I still trying to heal in the same place that broke me? If the answer is yes, then whisper this declaration: I choose to protect my healing. I choose to create the environment I deserve. That decision could be the first step toward freedom. Principle number 9. Every moment is a choice, power or pain. Every moment of your life presents you with two doors. One leads to power. The other leads to pain. Not the kind of pain that life throws at you, but the suffering you create when you give away your control. Think about it. Someone insults you. You can choose pain. React with anger. Replay their words in your mind. Let them live rent-free in your head. Or you can choose power. Stay calm, stay silent, and protect your peace. Life throws hardship at you. You can choose pain. Complain, blame, drown in self-pity. Or you can choose power. Accept the challenge, endure with courage, and rise stronger. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That is the secret. No one can force you to surrender your peace unless you hand it to them. Here's the difference. Pain is reaction. Power is response. Pain makes you a victim. Power makes you unshakable. Pause and reflect. How many times this week did you choose pain without realizing it? The unnecessary argument, the resentment you kept alive, the negative thought you fed over and over. And how different would your week have been if, in those moments, you chose power instead? The Stoics never denied emotions. They felt fear, anger, sadness, just like us. But they refused to let emotions become their master. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That reaction, that single choice, shapes your destiny. So tonight, when life tests you, and it will pause, take a breath. Ask yourself, will I choose power or will I choose pain? Then whisper this declaration: I choose power, I choose calm, I choose control. Because at the end of your life, You won't remember the insults. You won't remember the setbacks. You'll remember the moments you stood tall, when you mastered yourself instead of being mastered by the world. Every moment is a choice. Choose power. Conclusion. The Destiny Knight. You've now heard all 9 principles, but wisdom only becomes power when you act on it starting tonight. You have 2 choices. Keep scrolling, or place your hand on your heart and whisper, "Tonight, I begin my transformation. One night, one decision, and you'll never be the same." If this message spoke to you, give this video a like, share it with someone who needs it, and join our community by subscribing to the Stoic Habit. And in the comments, write this simple vow: I choose strength. Your journey begins now.